What is going on, gamers? Aevatrex here, and today we found a rally target which I believe was just around 500 million might. It was TFAG. I don't even know how you would actually even pronounce that, but we're just gonna call it a G. They were 500 plus million might, and they had war gear on. The only thing is that, as you can tell right there, most of this war gear was mainly cavalry. So we actually tried to test to see what their front line was, and it was indeed cavalry. Now, if you don't know exactly how to do that, I could probably make a video specifically on that, on finding out what your opponent's front line is. But just keep in mind that if they don't have an anti-scout, that's really the best way to do it, because if you can't scout them, you're never really gonna know. In this case, we were able to actually get a scout off on this person, and they started off with about 9 million troops. Of course, since he is going to be getting reinforced, we're talking about 10 million troops. About half of it, I would say, was about T4. So here's the good thing about this, though. For some reason, they started reinforcing with infantry, which is perfectly fine with us because we knew that he had cavalry front line. Now, if you are ever in a guild where a person is going to be rallied and they're not online and you don't know exactly what to reinforce with, an easy way to go about it is to either have somebody that has an alt or something attack them while you're reinforcing them, and that's going to give you the report showing you exactly what troops they have in their lineup, and that way you can actually reinforce their front line. In this case, it doesn't seem like they did that. Like, they gave them a hero because TF actually attacked him and gave him a leader. That way he had that prisoner boost, which is always a good thing to do if you're trying to help somebody that's being rallied. But for whatever reason, they didn't actually change the reinforcements to show that, which is kind of interesting. Maybe they didn't really think about it, or maybe they gave him the prisoner before they actually had any reinforcements. But either way, they started reinforcing him infantry while he had cavalry front line, and that of course is going to go in our advantage because we knew exactly what we were going to be hitting. Now, of course, this is going to be a double rally with QR, and at this point we all have timers and just kind of waiting to go and time it correctly. At this point in time, even if he was online, we weren't really too worried about getting captured because we knew his composition. So it would have been really rare for us to actually lose heroes here, even if he was to come online, pop an army attack boost, etc. So we weren't really too worried about that, especially since it was going to be a double rally. Maybe if it was just one single rally, it might suck to just hit once, because if you just hit reinforcements and he comes online and counters you, etc., that might not be a great look. But regardless, we felt really comfortable here. Now, we went ranged. QR actually went ranged as well, because we had a feeling that one range rally was not going to be enough. The only thing though was that we didn't realize that they were going to reinforce incorrectly. So here we go, we're going to go ahead and start marching. Keep in mind that his might is at 553 million, war gear on, general title on, we had negative titles, and let's take a look. First rally hits, we take him down to, let's see, second rally actually burns, and we take him down to 480 million. So after two rallies, that already did a good amount of damage. Let's go ahead and take a look at our report. So we did hit cavalry wedge. So with 10 million soldiers, we were able to get 1.6 million dead, and for the most part, this is probably going to be mostly cavalry. So going ranged at the beginning was actually the correct call. If we would have gone cavalry, that still would have actually worked out decently well, because we would have hit cavalry, then infantry, etc. But in this case, going full range was absolutely the best call, and going full range twice was even better, because not only did we wipe out most of the ancient Drake riders, as you can tell there, the next rally was going to completely wipe out the ancient Drake riders, and now for them it's going to be much harder to help them defend and reinforce, because he only really has two troop types. So yeah, Another thing to consider is, since his gear was so heavily in the favor of cavalry, and these two rallies completely wiped out his cavalry. It's like he has almost no war gear, because if your war gear that you have right now is mostly cavalry, and then you really have no cavalry left, you have infantry and ranged, even if your guild reinforces you with 1,000,000 cavalry troops to act as your front line, it's still going to hurt really freaking bad, because the rest of your troops just has absolutely no stats to actually back them up. So if you're ever holding prisoners, etc., and or you're taking a rally, what I would suggest for you, and especially if you're trying to make a mix set, is to focus on gear that has army stats. And by that, I'll give you perfect examples. Like for accessories, don't go with drums, don't go with vials, etc. Try to focus on either blight rings or like scrolls, burning scrolls, because those do well for all troop types. For instance, on the offhand, you can go with the mitts, the winter mitts. Those are really good. And then, of course, for the boots, you can go with the talons because of the nice army HP, and also it's got infantry range. Just try to focus on, if you can't stack army attack, because obviously that's a little bit harder to stack in gear outside of just going full champ. Try to stack as much army max HP as you can with blight rings, etc. Because if you just go with like one blight, and then one vial and then one drum, you're just making yourself lose stats, just because army is going to cover all three troop types, and that way you're going to be covering yourself throughout. Okay, so again, we're going to be rallying. This time we're going infantry. Also, this time Ned is going to be the one attacking first, so he is going to be the one hitting the reinforcements, and then essentially once he clears out the reinforcements, probably it's going to clear out the reinforcements and then some, then we go ahead and pretty much do the knockout punch, if you will. So now a lot of people might ask, well, why is it that if the rally is set to go and the timer is at 0, why don't you just launch? Well, the reason for that is that if you're going to be doing a double rally, you want to synchronize them as close as possible. Now, a lot of people do this with voice chat, etc., which is much easier because you can just say go, and then you don't have to actually come out of the game and go to like line chat and send messages there and then go back and forth, which was the case here. Unfortunately, we weren't doing like a voice chat or anything, so they had to go in the game, back out, go back, and it's not really ideal. So the ideal way to do this, and when you see these guilds doing 10, 20, 30 rallies at the same time, the way that they do this is with voice chat. They're all in a room, and then when they say go, they just all send their rallies. They don't have to go back and forth, etc. So just keep that in mind if you're going to be doing rallies, double rallies, triple rallies, whatever. That's probably going to be the best bet. Alright, so here we go. Ned Stark is going to be sending out his rally. Looks like he's gonna go cavalry 480, and that drops him down to 441. Another thing that does is that it frees the prisoner, which in this case actually would have helped. Unfortunately, it looks like she sent it just in time back, but take a look at this. Boom, look at the might, and 359. Now that freaking hurt. Now going back to this, to what I was talking about, the rallies, if we were to synchronize the rally there a bit closer to where we didn't have to wait 10-15 seconds in between those hits, Sarah wouldn't have had the chance to actually send her prisoner back in there and give him that, I believe it's like 20 or 30% boost, and we would have probably cleared them out all the way. So just keep that in mind, because the closer that you can get these rallies together, whether it's doubles, triples, etc., the better it is for you, because it gives them less time to try to counter each rally, less time for them to get reinforced, etc. Now, of course, with 900,000 troops, we could have probably soloed here. The only problem is that yeah, they were reinforcing them, so we didn't want somebody to like hit like 1,000,000 reinforcements, so that kind of sucked. But at the end of the day, what they actually ended up doing was kicking him, and zeroing them themselves. Now, why did they do that? Well, he did have about, I believe it was like a little bit over 1 billion resources, so they probably thought, okay, now 100,000 troops, he's gonna get zeroed anyway, so they kicked him out the guild, zeroed them themselves, got his leader, and then went for the resources. So yeah, a couple of things that we could have done a little bit better as far as timing, that would have helped, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, we got the zero. And also, like I was putting there in the chat, when you're doing something like this and you're attacking a castle where it has a ton of other castles around them, make sure that you're not attacking the wrong castle, because for one, you might lose your leader. Two, you might lose a ton of troops, T4, etc., and that's definitely not something that you want. So yeah, it looked like there he only had a bit of wood left, and I really couldn't be bothered to try to click through all that mess at this point just for a little bit of the resources. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just stop there. Yeah, appreciate you guys for watching, and until later, bye.